always promise ourselves life after life. In the Srimad Bhagavatam it is said that the baby in the womb offers prayers. That means all of us who have been babes in the womb, all of us offer these prayers in the womb. That, oh Lord, I am in the most uncomfortable position in my life. I am upside down, I can't move my hands or my legs, and I am held in this position for 10 months. So God, please let me out of here, and I promise you that I will dedicate my whole life to you so that I don't have to come back in this place. But it has been stated, we come into the world from between a woman's legs and we spend the rest of our life trying to get back there. Because that is precisely what we do. We are overcome with material desire, we are overcome with lust, greed, anger, envy, illusion, madness, and sure enough we go all the way back. And next time also we pray to God that, oh God, please let me out. This time I promise you I won't break my promise. I shall always remember you throughout my life without desire, and I shall not come back to this place again. But we come back again and again and again. In fact, Prabhupada always used to give this example of how they catch monkeys. You know how they catch monkeys? They catch monkeys in a very interesting way. You keep a glass bottle fixed in the ground, and in that glass bottle you keep a few trinkets. And these trinkets, in the sunlight, they appear very attractive. And the monkey comes, he puts his hand in the glass bottle, and when he puts his hand in the glass bottle, he catches hold of the trinkets and he wants to take his hand out. But the neck of the bottle is so narrow that he can simply put his hand inside. The minute he forms a fist, he can't take his hand out. So holding those trinkets in his hand is stuck inside the bottle, and he knows he can take his hand out the minute he leaves the trinket, but he can't bring himself to leave those trinkets because he wants those trinkets. And the bottle being firmly fixed in the ground, he can't take the bottle away either. Neither can he turn the bottle upside down. And the hunter comes to catch the monkey. And the monkey sees the hunter coming, and he knows that all he has to do is simply to open his fist and he's free. That's all that he has to do. He just has to open his fist and he's free. But he just cannot open his fist. And the hunter comes closer with a noose in his hand and he's going to strangle the monkey. The monkey knows it. The monkey knows that because he's been raiding this fellow's orchard, this man has put up a trap to catch him, and now that he's caught, he's going to be strangled. And he knows also all he has to do is to leave those trinkets, and he's out, he's free. But he cannot leave those trinkets, therefore he meets death. And all of us, we are all like that monkey. We know intellectually everybody is convinced. There's nobody in this room who's not convinced intellectually that we are here because of material desire. When I said we are here because of material desire, everybody was nodding away. Yes, yes. We are all here because of material. And I also said that all you have to do to get out of here is to leave the material desire. Everybody said yes, that's true. Very true. But just like the monkey, we simply cannot let go of that material desire. Therefore, because we are not able to let go of that material desire, we will be caught again and again and again and again. I have another friend who's atheistic. He doesn't believe in God. Well, at least he was my friend until I became a devotee. Now he doesn't consider himself my friend because he thinks I have gone mad. So he was telling me, he's saying, what is the need to worship God? He's saying, what is the need to worship God? He says, everything that I have got in this world, I have got without worshipping God. Everything that I have. All that I have to do is I have to strongly desire something, and sure enough, in course of time, that desire is fulfilled. So when I can myself fulfill that desire, then what is the need to approach God and pray to Him? A very, very practical question he was asking. Why should I approach God? Because I simply have the desire in my heart, and sure enough the opportunity comes up and I work hard and I fulfill that desire. So who needs God anyway? Why do we need God? So I was explaining to him that yes, it is true that you don't need to pray to God to fulfill your material desire. You simply need to desire. And if you desire, that desire is fulfilled. But who is fulfilling that desire? God is fulfilling that desire, even if you are not approaching Him. I gave him the example. I have a young 6-year-old son, and I am a mundane father to this son. He is a spirit soul. I am not in any way connected to him except through my body and through my mind. But when my young son, he looks into the shop window and I see on his face that expression of desire, and I know that my son wants something very badly, what do? He doesn't even have to tell me, Daddy, please buy that for me. Before he knows what's happened, I've already purchased it and given it to him. Why? Because I can see on his face the desire for it. I know he wants it very badly. And therefore, out of love for him, I go and purchase it and I give it to him. So when a mundane father, I was explaining to him, a mundane father, he can be so keen to fulfill his son's desire, then what to speak of the eternal Father? Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Pita ham asya jagato, mata dhata pitama. He says, I am the father of this universe, I am the grandsire of this universe, I am the mother of the universe. So he is all three. Not only is he father and mother, but he says grandfather. Why grandfather? Because grandfathers are always spoiling their children. They know that when their grandchildren grow up to be real spoiled adults, they are not going to be around. So they don't mind spoiling them. So Krishna says, I am father, I am mother, I am grandsire. And Krishna also says, he says in the Isopanishad, he also says in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Isopanishad he says, I am seated in the hearts of all living entities and I am fulfilling their desires from time immemorial. In the Isopanishad, Krishna is saying that I am seated in everybody's heart and I am fulfilling their desires from time immemorial. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord says, what does the Lord say in Srimad Bhagavatam? He says, I am seated in the hearts of all living entities and my eternal pastime is fulfilling the desires of everybody. Just see that God is fulfilling the desires of everybody. And number two, He is seated in your heart. And number three, He is your father, mother and grandfather. And we put these three things together and you know that you don't really have to worship God to fulfill your desire. Because first and foremost, He already knows your desire. He often knows your desire before you know it. Very often a desire remains in a subconscious state in your mind and you haven't even expressed it in thought, what to speak of speaking it aloud or acting to fulfill that desire. It's existing in a seed in your subconscious mind. It's called a karma beaj. But the knowledge of that seed is already known to the Lord because He is seated in your heart. So Krishna knows all your desires, all your expressed desires, and He also knows your unexpressed desires. That means Krishna knows your desires before you are even aware of them because He is in your heart. He is your father, He is your mother, He is your grandsire. Therefore He loves you more than anybody else. And simultaneously, His eternal pastime is to fulfill the desires of everybody. You ask somebody, what do you do? Somebody will say, I'm a doctor, I'm an engineer, I'm a businessman. But what does Krishna do? Krishna says, my eternal pastime is fulfilling the desires of everybody. So Krishna has one eternal pastime, that is fulfilling everybody's desire. So is it surprising then that He fulfills everybody's desire? I was explaining to my friend. I said, yes, I know you don't believe in God. But even if you don't believe in God, God will fulfill your desire. Why? Because God considers you to be equal and me to be equal. I said, do not imagine, I explained to him, that because I believe in God and you don't believe in God, we are different in each other's eyes, in God's eyes. We are equal in God's eyes. Sometimes people think that, oh, I am a devotee, so I am at a better level than this guy who is an atheist. But in God's eyes, everybody is equal. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Suridam sarva bhutanam yajñatva mam shantim richati. That when you realize that God is equal friend of all living entities, then only you will know peace. The minute you think you are a little more favorite of God and that one is not so much favorite of God, then you cannot know peace. Only when you know that everybody is equal in the eyes of God, then only you will know peace. So God is fulfilling everybody's desires. My desires, your desires, everybody's desires. And you don't even have to pray to Him because He is fulfilling those desires without your having to approach Him directly, because He knows your desires before you know them. But, a very big but, if you fulfill those desires, or if God fulfills those desires, in forgetfulness of Him, those desires only bring you unhappiness, misery and misfortune. Please note what I said. That it is not necessary to approach God to fulfill your desires, because God being seated in your heart, He already knows your desires. But if you allow God to fulfill your desires in forgetfulness of Him, then the result is that although those desires are fulfilled, although you get what you want, you get only unhappiness, misery and misfortune. And the story that can best illustrate it is the story of the monkey's paw. I just told you about how the monkey is caught. So the story of the monkey's paw just best illustrates that. In fact, we used to have this play in our school every year we used to have this play. And in this monkey's paw, there is an old couple living in a Welsh mining town. And this old couple, they are a retired couple. And of course, in a Welsh mining town, in the days where they lived, there was no TV, no Doordarshan or any other TV. There was no newspaper, no magazines, very few books which were difficult to come by. So they had no entertainment at all. I mean, to the standard that we have today. But they had one object which was the focus of their attention. There was one person who was the apple of their eye, and that was their son. That although they were an old couple and they were retired, they had a young, handsome son, 21 years old, who was the apple of their eye, and everything in their life was centered around the son. Everything in their life was centered around the son. And while they were one day sitting at home waiting for their son, they get the possession from a gypsy of a monkey's paw in the bottle. It's a monkey's paw, but it's severed from the monkey, so you only have the paw in the bottle. And it's given to them, telling them that if you have this monkey's paw in the bottle, with this bottle you can make 3 wishes. Any 3 wishes you can make, and those wishes will be 100% fulfilled. So both of them sit down together and they decide that since their son's birthday is coming up, they should wish for 500 pounds, because with this 500 pounds, they will be able to celebrate their son's birthday in a wonderful manner. So they sit down and they wish for 500 pounds. Nothing happens. Absolutely nothing happens. And 3 hours later, instead of their son coming through the door, the local manager of the mines walks in and he tells them there's been a mine collapse, and as a result of the mine collapse, your son has been completely crushed to death, and his body has been so mangled that we advise you not even to come and try to identify it. He's been completely crushed to death, and we're very sorry. And this couple is completely shattered. But before this manager goes, he tells them that in compensation we give you a check of 500 pounds. So they wanted the 500 pounds, and they wished for this 500 pounds. They've got the 500 pounds, but they've lost their son. You think that 500 pounds makes them happy? It doesn't make them happy at all. So they are completely distraught at the loss of their son. The 500 pounds means nothing to them. And 2 days later, on their son's birthday, after a quiet dinner, they're sleeping. They can't sleep at night, so they gather around the dining table. And each of them is completely torn with misery, and they decide that they still have 2 wishes left in the bottle. So let us wish that our son is alive again. So they wish that let our son be alive again. This was what they wish at night. And 2 hours later, in the middle of the night, they hear somebody crawling on the path in front of their house. And they also hear somebody banging the door and trying to talk to them in very inaudible, inarticulate voice, because they realize now that their son has dug himself out of the grave, and in that mangled body he has re-entered the dead body, and now he has dragged himself to their house and wants to come in. So once again they are absolutely disturbed, because although they want their son, they don't want their son in this condition. Once again that desire has been fulfilled, but that desire has been fulfilled in a way they don't really want. So finally, in desperation, they wish